Live, Mr. Bass, and get your fish on
Mhm.
in studio.
Yeah,
What's up, Steve Chapman?
in studio. We one of these days we need to do this like face to face, be in the same
Yeah,
space,
yeah,
probably
we
be on the
need to.
water together.
Heck yeah,
That would be more fun.
we definitely need to do that. We live a pretty good distance away from each other,
Yeah,
though, so
we do.
that's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that doesn't help that you're up in like Timbuktu
Yeah,
and I'm down in BFE.
yeah, exactly,
That's
exactly. So
we're
let's
waiting
see.
for Jimmy to log on here, but we didn't want to go too late. So hi to everybody that's already putting up stuff. Uh, it's going to be when Jimmy does come on. It's going to be a little bit different. We won't be able to see a video of him. We're just going to do an audio thing, and we'll do our best. He's on his ranch, and I guess the ranch doesn't have any Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
so fingers crossed
zero
that he can
Wi-Fi.
get everything going, and we can do this.
Yep,
And then we
he's
got the goat next week.
the goat. Should be good.
I mean, I don't know how you get these people on, Mr. Bass, but you're doing a damn good job. Let me just give
I
you
got
credit where credit is due.
I got connections,
Yeah.
man. I got connections. I can't give away all my secrets.
Gramps, I am in like right around the corner from Orlando. I'm in Apopka.
A Popka. I've
Yeah.
actually stayed in a Popka before.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
Some motel there. Some Indian guy owns it.
So you stayed on the wrong side of Apopka.
Maybe I did. Maybe I did. But my buddy Joe and I went down there. It was around the time of the Bassmaster Classic up at Gunnersville. We were there at Gunnersville, and we decided to try to take a run down to Okeechobee. And we got as far as Apopka.
Yeah.
And then we said, what's around here? And so we just fished around there instead. We were like, it's freaking, that's too far of a drive, man. It seemed like we drove forever just to get there.
Yeah, Okeechobee, like you have to go. There's like no real roads directly to where you put in. You have to go off this weird road, and then it's like one lane. It's almost like going down to the Keys. If you've never been down to the Keys, it's two lanes, and when it's mini season for lobsters, it'll back up from one key to the next. And you'll have a 6-7 hour wait just to get to the next key. It's horrible.
Huh.
So it's one of those things you really must love going lobstering during that mini season because it's like 3 days, and that's when everyone just crushes them. And then after that, then you see everybody and their mother out there, gigging, doing whatever, however they catch them.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of had a funny story. We hopped on the St. Johns River and started fishing on the St. Johns.
Yeah.
And we're fishing along, and it starts raining a little. And we're like, oh, it looks like it's going to rain some. And no big deal. We're just fishing and talking and having a good time. And I hear this noise. And I'm like, dude, we must be near a railroad track. I hear a train coming. And he says, I think that's a storm or something coming. I was like, no, it's not. It's not. I was like, maybe it's just a truck. Some trucks on a highway. Maybe we're close to a highway because there's stuff all around. And I'm telling you what, we got annihilated. This storm cloud showed up and pummeled us. It was insane. The lightning,
weather.
the thunder, the sheets of pelting rain. It was unreal, man.
So I've only fished the St. John's a few times. I went one time with my buddy Bobby, absolutely crushed bass. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I've been a couple times for like the Shad and Crappie Derby and going out with the guys from Crappie Masters as media people. So it's always a little bit fun. But the first time I ever went on the St. John's, at my dad's house, the next door neighbor was a guide. And he's like, his name's Ron, and he had this great product that he made years ago for flats fishermen. And he saw me practicing fly fishing in the front yard of my dad's house. And he's like, "You should come fishing with me. I'm going to the St. John's. We're going to go striper fishing and this kind of this." And I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I'd love to go fishing. You know, it's a guide. I mean, we get in his little boat, and the first thing he says to me, he says, if we see a water moccasin on the water, you jump off the boat.
Really?
If it comes to the back of the boat, it'll climb in the boat, and and we're in trouble." And I just was like, he is full of shit. There's no way in hell.
Yeah.
We get out on the St. John's, where we're going back through all these curves and all this other stuff, and we hit a branch, and a snake fell into the boat. And I'm like, I hate snakes. I have goosebumps talking about this right now. Honestly, look at my hairs are standing up. The hairs on my back are all standing up. So I say to Ron, "There's a snake back there." He shuts down and hops out of the boat and starts swimming for the shoreline. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're really doing this. I drop my stuff, and Michael Phelps is saying, I'm like, I'm flying, doing all this shit. We're only like 15 feet from the edge. He gets out, and he's like, that snake, we have to wait for that. Now, the boat's drifting, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm shaking. I'm freezing. It's like, and I'm like, we have to get back in the boat. What about all the gators that are in this place? And he's like, we're not worried about gators. We just worry about, we got to watch that big moccasin get out of the boat. And like 8 minutes later, it got out, swam the other way, and the boat went around the corner, and we grabbed it, luckily, and got back on. And I'm like, this is the last time I'm ever fishing with you, Ron. I can tell you that right now. Never fish with them ever again.
That's wild. That was the first time I'd ever fished around manatees as well.
Oh yeah.
And they had these signs: turn your propeller off. Don't kill the manatees. And I was like, what? Come on! Don't tell me they're so stupid they get hit by props. I had no idea anything about them. It's my ignorance. But that was really cool.
Yeah, the manatee people. So years and years ago, I did that show, the radio show. But before I did the radio show, the Fish in Florida Radio, there was a show called Hog Wild Saltwater Adventures Charters with Dave Rogers and I. That's how I got my go into radio. And we had made a joke that that manatee is the other white meat, and there's no exaggeration in this. We received 25,000 emails in 12 hours from all the same thing, just with a different person's name. Somebody had listened, didn't realize we were joking, called the manatee people. Then they, got in touch with their whole crew of fanatic PETA people, and they all sent us emails. It destroyed our server, and then we had to do this whole bunch of baloney for the radio station, and and then we had Larry the Cable Guy come on and say the same joke, and then how bald eagles were the best tasting poultry there is, and he was busting chops too, and that got us in trouble. And
oh man. Manatees are super gentle, and I guess a lot of them do get injured by props.
Yeah, they get scarred. They're really slow, and I mean, you really don't see them till they're right underneath you, and then it's really too late. And it isn't like nobody ever goes out and tries to hit a manatee. You want to know what the problem is? Is they have manatee zones where you have to go in super slow,
right?
And that slows the whole thing down, your boat down. And they're just not smart animals. mean, they're just barely above a bass in terms of brain. I mean, they if there's grass, they're going for it and eating it. So
it looks like Booster wants you and I to help him with his Ultrex upgrade. That's a little crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Hold on, I'm going to text.
Yeah, we're waiting on Jimmy to hop on. We were hoping he wouldn't have technical difficulties because he's out at his ranch. He said that he does not have Wi-Fi out there, so we weren't going to do video. We were going to do audio only with him. But we haven't heard from him since the show started. So
there's you want to talk about Eric Howard here for a second. Eric is a professional speck fisherman, a crappie fisherman, and he's a stud fisherman. He has a great bunch of rods too.
Does he have his own line of rods, Eric Howard?
Yeah.
Nice. The old crappie fisherman in the modern day world uses a whole lot of forward-facing sonar.
That's for sure. You want to know what? He was the first person I ever saw use forward-facing sonar like 5 or 6 years ago. I got on the boat and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And he's like, wait till you see what we're going to do, Chapamana.
That's cool.
I just texted, are you having technical issues? So let's hope one of the two email.
James says he lives close to Jimmy. Maybe he could swing by and take him to his house and let him use his Wi-Fi.
He's in Tulsa. He had some stuff he was doing this morning with his wife. So I know they were he was going to go back to the ranch afterwards. So
right on, Lear Home Inspection Services. We talked about this on my show on Wednesday.
How big of discounts were they?
60%. It's their Black Friday deal. All these companies now are doing Black Friday, like starting 1st of November now, all the way through, you know. Black Friday is like 2 months long now.
He thought it was 8 p.m. Central time.
I thought that might be what he was thinking, which that's okay.
Yeah, he is. He's going to hop on right now.
All right, cool. There you go. We got it from the man himself. I know you guys thought that I had the connection with Jimmy and not Steve, and that's true. I'm just letting Steve communicate with him.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Anytime, buddy.
Who said that to you, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
This is all you.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay, we got him. Let's connect here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jimmy.
I'm sorry about that. You must. I'm on Central Time, and you must be using Eastern Time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, Steve.
That's all right. How are you doing?
Well, doing good. I'm actually sitting in the car right now to Sonic. We got stuck in a big traffic. Well, it wasn't a traffic jam. They had a wreck out there on the interstate, and we sat for an hour and a half, and so we're still about 2 hours from home. But we are here.
How?
You know, my camera might work. I see you.
Oh, nice.
Turn your camera back off. You knew I'd do something like that.
I knew that was coming.
Awesome.
Sorry, I have to say something. How's the beautiful wife?
She's doing great. She's sitting right here. I'm going to turn my camera back on, see how it works. See if maybe y'all.
Oh yeah.
Y'all see me too, huh?
Yeah, we got you.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that better horizontal like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Chris is sitting right here beside me.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Actually learning how to do rehab. Tell him hi, babe. I can't see me on there, so I don't really know what I look like. Oh, well, I do know what I look like because I saw.
I see what you're ordering behind you.
Heck
so
yeah.
You're doing well.
It's good to have you on, Jimmy.
Well, it's good to be here. I'm sorry I'm late. I can't see me on there. Is that good or bad?
Yeah, you're all right, dude. You're all right.
See you perfectly.
Okay.
Yep, we see you perfectly.
I'm just holding the camera up there. Is all I'm doing. Like I said, we're sitting at a Sonic, and I'm gonna set it right there and point it at me. And I don't know.
You're perfect.
You look perfect. Look great.
Yeah, perfect.
Golly, I wish the girls would tell me that.
I tell you that every time I see you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I appreciate it too. I need all the help I can get.
We got to boost each other's egos here and there. So tell us about how you got started for the people that don't know, how you got started into fishing.
Golly, I don't really remember when I started fishing per se. My dad fished. Both my uncles fished. My granddad. I've fished with them probably, when I could walk, or maybe even before I could walk. And I don't remember when I caught my first bass. I don't remember my first fish. I was just probably too little to remember, to be honest with you. But my life really changed dramatically when my dad bought a resort on Lake Tenkiller between my junior and senior year in high school, not college, in high school. So I moved to the lake when I was 16 years old, and we grew up I went to more schools there in Oklahoma, right south of Oklahoma City and Oklahoma City suburbs. So really, I grew up in Oklahoma City, and even though we fished and hunted all the time with my dad, my uncles, and my granddad, moving to the lake obviously had a big impact. Where we lived on Lake Tenkiller, a beautiful 20-some-odd thousand acre lake, and my dad had a resort there, and so basically I fished my way through college. I fished every day. These guys talk about fishing 200 and 250 days a year, professional fishermen, some of them 300 days a year, and they should. But I was fishing 200 days a year when I was in college. I don't do that anymore, and I didn't do that throughout my tournament career. But that's really the thing that probably, where I learned how to fish a little bit was those 4 years in college, and somehow managed to get a couple of college degrees out of it too. I don't know how that happened because I spent a lot of time fishing, but it was really probably a big influence, just to be totally honest with you. We had the 1962 World Series of Fishing on Lake Tenkiller. It was a 5-day tournament. The first 2 days or 3 days was on a couple of other lakes. The last 2 or 3 days was on Lake Tenkiller, and we had at the time, this is before BASS, before Project Sports, before American Angler, before Major League Fishing, before FLW, before everything, and quite a bit before. BASS started in 1968, so Project Sports was going in, I don't know, 64, 65, 66, something like that. American Angler about the same time. But I fished with Virgil Ward, Jim Rogers, Glenn Causey, Glenn Andrews, the very best fishermen in the world. They were staying at my dad's resort, and they paid me $20 a night, which is really a lot of money back then, to watch their boats, to guard their boats at the lake. And then a lot of them asked me to go out fishing. They come down and practice for 2 or 3 weeks before the tournament, and they asked me to go fishing with them, which was just a thrill for a 16, 17-year-old kid. And of course, they were asking me to go fishing with me because I lived there on the lake, and they knew I knew a lot of places. I didn't really know that's why they were asking me. I just thought they were being really nice guys, and they were. But I got to see the very best bass fishermen, fish with them several days during that 2 or 3 weeks period of time. People like Virgil Ward, who won that tournament and started championship fishing from that, and became a great, great lifelong friend. I took him down to Venezuela in the later years of his life. One of the last things that he did, peacock bass fishing. People like Joe Krieger, who had an outdoor show in Oklahoma for years and years and years. I actually took him down to Brazil on some of his latter days of his life. So I got to fish with great people. I could see how well they could fish, and I learned a lot. And it kind of gave me an inspiration to get involved in tournament fishing because it sure looked like a lot of fun.
Hey, Jimmy, you kind of started this whole kiss the bass thing. So many people copy you and do that now. How'd that get started? How'd you get started kissing bass?
I wish I knew. I really have no idea, but you're right. We've got the whole world kissing bass. I actually got a picture. Listen to this. We get pictures every day, and of course in social media we get pictures all over our social media with kids kissing fish, adults fishing them, their girlfriends or wives kissing fish, and on and on and on. I actually received a picture from Vladimir Putin from
What?
Russia kissing a fish. And
Shut
I
up.
just want to say
Holy
right now,
crap.
so you know, I do not know Vladimir Putin. I've never colluded with him on any type of election material or anything. He just sent me a picture of himself kissing a bass, which is just absolutely amazing. I'm sure he'd seen me do it on ESPN or something. I guess ESPN must be in Russia, and must have seen me kissing a bass there. But I kind of think it might have started either from tournaments where I just caught a fish that would got me in the money in a tournament, or maybe put me up in the top 10, or maybe even won a tournament. I was so thrilled I just kissed the fish. Either that or doing a television show where we catch a big fish toward the end of the show, and I was so thrilled about catching that big fish and being able to close that show out for the day that we used to try to close our show on a big fish. So we would get a show done. We just need what we called a closer back in the old days. We don't do it that way anymore, and so we need to try to catch it might just be a 3 or 4 pounder, but it might have to be a 6 or 7 pounder. It'd be, whatever would make a really good climatic finish to that. And it might have been one of those deals where I was just so thrilled to finally catch that fish that allowed me to close that day's television show that I kissed it. I don't really know, but I made it popular to have fish breath. That's for sure.
you sure
And those
you
people
sure
up
did.
north, that had all those northern pike and walleye and stuff, they've all got leaky lips and they don't know why.
No doubt.
It's it's been a couple years since you've been tournament fishing. The tournament, do you miss it? Do you miss the competitiveness? And how did you do the television, the amazing television show, and do the FLW and all that other stuff?
Well, it has been. I did not fish in 20 or 21, so I've been out for the last 2 seasons. And to be honest, and I almost am embarrassed to say this, but I don't miss it at all. I don't even know when the tournaments go on. Sometimes somebody will ask me about them, and I'll look in there and just see how all my friends are doing, see how my buddies are doing in the tournament, and look at the standings. But I know Chris, fished 21 years of Bassingal and fished every tournament, every classic they ever had, and when Bassingal quit, I thought she would miss tournament fishing, and she said the same thing. She didn't miss it a bit, and I really don't. I may go back and fish sometime. They asked me to come back to FLW. They asked me to come back to BASS, and I didn't do it. But I didn't quit for any reason other than they changed the rules where Chris and I could not practice together during tournament practice.
Yeah.
And we have been practicing together basically since we were teenagers. We've been fishing together since we were teenagers. And when I started the tournaments, when I was a senior in college in 1966, we'd fish tournaments. We practiced together, and we've done it all along. And I just felt like it would take a tremendous amount of fun out of the tournaments to go fish those 3 days of practice by myself. Mm-hmm. And plus, it's dangerous also, if you're out there by yourself and you happen to fall out of the boat blows away from you, you're probably going to drown, So, but I had one of the good things about it. I won 58,000 the last year that I tournament fished in 2019, and ironically, if you take out the tournament winners, of course, if you win a tournament, you win 100,000. But if you don't count those tournament wins and just take what people won during the year, I'm pretty sure it was up there pretty close to the top to win 58,000 without winning a tournament. So it was kind of a good year to quit on, I guess, because of that. But that's not the reason I quit. I would have liked to. I fished 54 years and in tournaments, and I would like to fish the 55th just because, it's like hitting 300 in baseball or winning 20 games or winning 10 games in football, or whatever. 55 sounded better than 54. And had they not changed the rules, I would have continued to fish in 2020. I sure would have.
Yeah,
54
that rule
years.
change. Go ahead.
54 years of tournament fishing is, that's an amazing feat in and of itself. It's absolutely incredible.
Crazy, isn't it? It shows how crazy I am.
Yeah. So, how's Lucy and the herd doing?
Well, the herd's doing good. We lost Lucy back in the end of April. She had babies in her, and she got injured, and I think the injury might have killed one of the babies, and we lost her, and it was really a shame. But Forrest, which is he's a year and a half old, and Forrest is a really nice, pretty 8-point. He's chasing girls right now, which is dangerous for his well-being, as it is for most men, but it's very dangerous for his well-being. And we're actually trying to. Forrest was born in the pen, and his mama rejected him and his sister, which we named Jenny. And we named Forrest after Forrest Gump because he was crippled in both legs as a baby, and that's why his mama wouldn't feed him. And we raised him on a bottle. Chris raised him, and but he's a mature buck, really pretty right now. Got a beautiful 8 point, his first horns, and we're trying to actually lure him somehow back into the pen so he can we can put about 10 does in there and let him breed those does, keep that good genetics going. But the deer are doing great. We've got 18 or 20 deer at the house every day, and we got deer laying around in the yards, and we have deer poop fertilizer on our yard. They tell me that's good, so it better be because we got a lot of it. But I tell you what, I've lived all my life around deer, and ever since we moved to the lake when I was 16 years old, and it's always kind of been my desire. And I've had feeders sitting around by the house, so at nighttime I can look out and maybe see a deer or two out there. And now we've got a situation where we can pretty much look out in any direction, any time of the day, and see deer. And we've whispered those deer down to where even wild deer I can get within 15 or 20 yards of without them running away. And it's very few of them can you actually touch, but you can get. I mean, I could actually around the house talk deer in and to an easy bow range if I wanted to do that. And of course, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing when you get their confidence and you feed them, how how unwild they come. They don't become tame, but how. And of course, the deer that we raise from a bottle, they do become tame, and we pet them and handle them, and it's just it's just wonderful. The hardest. I've said for a long time, and I've said even more now that we mess with the deer a lot. And our most popular thing on our Jimmy Houston Outdoors YouTube channel is the deer. It's not the fishing. The most popular thing is the deer, and we've got about 110,000 on our YouTube channel, and we got about another 18,000 on our Catch of the Day daily devotional YouTube channel. But the deer are the most popular thing. But
Are you a deer hunter?
I do deer hunt. I do. I bow
Yeah.
hunt. I hunt everything. I quail hunt. I pheasant hunt. I duck hunt. I got elk. Just about everything. Wild pigs. We hunt wild pigs, of course. But it's for the last several years, we really don't take any deer other than a really, really mature buck. A buck is probably at least 4 or 5 years old with a really big rack. And I know that a lot of the anti-hunters and a lot of the ladies that love to watch our deer hunting show, a lot of them jump onto me about that. And especially if one of our deer comes in the house and they walk in our great room and see all these giant heads around. Lucy, we brought Lucy in the house a lot. She came in the house on her own a lot.
Yeah.
And they would ask me, what does Lucy think about all those heads hanging around on the wall? And I tell them, she's thinking those are some mighty good looking guys up there. I wonder what the rest of them look like, on the other side of that wall. But no, we deer hunt, and we raise deer, and we don't sell any deer. We don't sell any deer hunts. We raise the deer just for better conservation, create bigger deer, healthier deer, better genetics, bigger horns, and or antlers, to say it correctly. As I'm reminded a lot. I'm a redneck from the South. We say horns.
Yeah.
And but we're talking about antlers, not horns. I understand that, but hunters are the best conservationists in the world. They love the animals far more than the anti-hunters do. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But I've said for a long time about deer, the most hardened criminal. You could take a serial killer and give him a baby deer, and he'd fall in love with that deer. You just something about white-tailed deer, you just can't help but fall in love with. And when you raise one from a baby and they lays their head on your lap, it's like it's about the greatest thing in the world.
That's for sure.
Is that all on the ranch? I want to know more about the ranch, the 2 ponds Sherry told me about.
Yeah, we've got a couple 1,000-acre ranch in southern Oklahoma in the Arbuckle Mountains, beautiful mountains there, and we've got 2 really nice lakes on there. Our ranch is high fence. We've got a 130-acre lake and a 77-acre lake, and most people think our 130-acre lake might be the best bass fishing lake in the nation. I don't know if it is or not, but it's awfully good, and I wouldn't trade that lake for any other lake that I've ever seen. I've been on a lot of really good private lakes, but to give you an idea, we bought that ranch in 2003, And actually, we had our dam break in 2015 on Mother's Day and lost that lake. And we rebuilt it back, and it's back in great shape again now. But just to give you an idea of how great that lake is, we between 2003 and 2015, when the dam broke, me and my friends out of that lake caught 83,000 fish. 83,000. And now, granted, a lot of those were recycled. You know, I mean,
Sure.
obviously we're catch and
Sure.
release. We do keep fish out of there, and we do eat bass. We will keep some, 12, 13, 14-inch bass. We keep crappie that are small, about a pound or so. But we have a lot of 2-pound crappie. We have before the lake, we lost the lake. We had a lot of 3-pound crappie in there, and most people that fished that lake caught the biggest crappie they ever caught in their life. I caught the biggest crappie I ever caught in my life at that lake. And Wally Marshall, Mr. Crappie, caught the biggest crappie he's ever caught in his life at that lake. So it's a remarkable piece of water in the mountains. It's got a great creek runs into it, and it's just and 130 acres is a fairly decent size private lake. You don't see too many that large, but it looks like a big lake. It fishes like a big lake, and it's just it's phenomenal fishing, and it's a great place to take people fishing. We take a lot of our Shell clients, Shell Oil Company, Shell Rotella, and Pennzoil are a couple of our sponsors, and we take a lot of their customers fishing. We give away trips. We take veterans. We do a lot of things with that lake. We do a lot with the Make-A-Wish and St. Jude's and things, and it's just it's kind of we almost live in heaven. I'll just put it that way. We almost live in heaven.
That is awesome.
As the person who is officially checking out all the greatest places to fish in the United States, I will be more than welcome to come to the ranch and make sure it is the best place on the planet. Mr. Bass will join me.
Come on down. I'll take you fishing. I'll take you catching. We catch them even on the worst days. You know, I fished this week. We had a couple of guys from Shell Oil down, and we had 40 and 50 mile an hour winds all day long from the north, with gusts above 60. The biggest gust for the day they recorded at 69 miles an hour, and we still caught 28 fish. Now, 28 bass, and we did not catch any over about 4 pounds, so it was not nearly. I had a couple of their customers there a couple of days before that. We caught 53. And one of them caught the biggest bass he'd ever caught in his life, and we caught several 5-pounders. But we had like the worst possible conditions you could imagine, and still caught 28.
Yeah,
So, and you know, both of those days we fished last week was really bad days weather-wise. But those would be considered pretty good days on a lot of lakes, 50-some-odd bass and 20-some-odd bass. But we routinely catch, 70, 80, 100 fish a day, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It sort of spoils you, and the fish are very healthy, and they're big, and we stock that lake with crawfish. We fertilize with Southeastern Pond Management fertilizer all summer long. We have shad in there. We have an incredible amount of bluegill. We just it's a well managed fishery, and we love it. It's hard to get our friends to go fishing anywhere else. They want to go fish there. I have friends come down that's in the fishing industry, and I say, you want to run over to Texoma or Lake Murray or Arbuckle Lake or somewhere and fish tomorrow? They said, no, we don't. And, we fish all the lakes around, and we've actually put some really big fish in there. We caught a 1187 out of Arbuckle Lake last year, and we turned it loose there at the house. And I don't know if it lived or not, but if it did, it's probably over 13 pounds now. So that's a pretty big fish.
So Jimmy, you've been a professional angler for many, many, many years, but you've also been married for many, many, many years. And I've always admired your relationship with Chris and your marriage. I've been married about 30, a little over 30, but
that's a good start.
It is a good start, but
it is a good start. Hey.
I wanted to ask you, what's the secret to a long, happy marriage? Because you guys have definitely figured that out.
Well, we got married when we were teenagers, and we've been married 57 years. It'll be 58 years in December 30th this year. So I guess we're getting really, really close to that 58th anniversary. And I don't know. It's a lot of things. I think one of the things is, when we first got married and we were teenagers and we were both, well, I was a lot wilder than she was. I'll put it that way. But we were both pretty headstrong. And after about a year, it seemed like we were arguing about every little thing that came up. We didn't have any money. and we had a little baby girl. Dropped my phone. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But we we had a little baby. We had a little baby girl after about a year, and it just seemed like that we were arguing about everything, and one day I just decided, and this is something you just got to make up your mind to do. One day I decided, hey, I'm not ever going to fight with this girl ever again, no matter what she says or does. And I think that, and when I did that, all the arguments started. So obviously it was probably just me and not her at all. But we haven't argued and fought all of those 57 years. That first year or so we did a little bit of that, but it's just sort of making up your mind you're going to do that, and as you grow older, and as obviously you have with 30 years of marriage, that you realize there's a lot of times when you get ready to say something, and all of a sudden you catch yourself and you don't say it, and you're so glad you didn't say it because it might have proved your point, and it might have been really the right thing to say to make sure that you were right and she was wrong, but you realize that it was just better off not to say it. And I think that's what happens as a person is married for a little bit longer. You just avoid any of those type conflicts, and you overlook anything that happens that kind of bugs you a little bit. You just simply overlook it. Or if she says something that bugs you a little bit, you don't make an issue out of it. You overlook it, and she does the same thing. And another thing I believe is, again, I talk about practicing in that boat for all of those 54 years of tournaments. We fish together, and we've got a deal up on and somebody gave me years and years ago. It's a picture of Chris and I and my daughter Sherry when she was probably, I don't know, 12, 14, 15 years old, and my son, who's 6 years younger than her. And so they're kids, and we were in a boat, and we were all fishing, and they all had big smiles, and somebody had taken that picture and made a big picture for me. And it said below that picture that the family that fishes together stays together. And, the statement, the family that prays together stays together. But I think fishing together is a big deal, too. And I think that's a big part of it. And, we've been in the business together. She's an integral part of our business. She's such an important part of such an important part of the business that, she had that stroke back on April 5, the day after Easter. And it's taken three of us to do the job she was doing in this company. My daughter, Sherry, my daughter-in-law, Mandy, and myself. And we're still probably not doing near the job that she was doing. And so we're trying to get her well so she'll get back to doing her job. We're starting our 45th year on national television. We're involved heavily in social media with YouTube and also Facebook. I've got over 600,000 people on our Facebook, and still shooting 52 television shows. We'll go back on ESPN, which is exciting to us. We'll be back there in January for 26 weeks. We'll be on ESPN2, and we were on ESPN for 21 years. We haven't been on there since 2011, so that's exciting. We'll still be on the Discovery Channel, but we'll also be on ESPN. So that's exciting, and people will be able to catch that show there every Saturday the first 6 months of the year. So we're shooting television shows. We shoot in Venice next month. We shoot in Venice, Louisiana. We shoot in Columbia for Peacock Bass in January. So we're still going 100 miles an hour, just like we always was. I've got two guys that are really good friends of mine. You probably have heard of them, might even know them, I'm sure. One of them's named Bill Dance, and the other guy's name is Roland Martin.
Daddy.
And those two guys are old. I mean, they are really old. And
Old.
Both of them turned 81 this year, and they are both still going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And so I'll not quit. I'll not quit until they do. That's for sure.
The big three.
And I'm not going to die till I'm 95, so I'll probably still be doing television shows then.
One of the things, usually the last question, every time we've been together, I ask you this, and it is a big part of your life, a big part of my life, a big part of Mr. Bass's life. It's your faith in the Lord, in God. And every time we text each other, what do we put on the end? God bless. Every time we send a text to each other. Tell everybody how your faith has been such an integral part with Chris, in your family, and in fishing, because I think it's unbelievably important.
Well, it certainly has, and I was raised in a Baptist church. I got saved when I was 12 years old, and I've not known anything all my life but going to church. And excuse me, It's got us through so many things through our life. I've relied on God many times when we were just absolutely at the bottom of the barrel, financially, business wise. I actually, Chris and I, once we got out of college and started working, and we, by the time we were 40 years old, had had everything paid for, had money in the bank, everything looked great, and about a year later, we were totally broke, and didn't have a penny, and didn't have anything, and without going into all the circumstances, I felt like slicing my wrist, but my reliance on God got really strong. We actually have had two other times in our lifetime when that happened. So that's happened three times after we were 40 years old. It's not supposed to happen once you work 20 years after you get out of college and have success. But it makes you realize, that God's not going to run out of miracles, and he'll be there through it thick and thin. We've had all kinds, obviously losing my mom and dad, losing her parents, and on, losing a sister 6 years younger than me. We've gone through illnesses and sicknesses and deaths, and God's always been there, and God's always done exactly what He's promised to do, and your faith becomes stronger every time you do that. And we're in the biggest battle that we've ever been in right now with this stroke. Chris had that April 5, the day after Easter, and it was a very severe, should have killed her. She's very fortunate it didn't, but God decided that it wasn't her. It wasn't in His plans to call her home right then. And the doctor told me the next day that she would never leave that hospital, which was kind of I guess, a doctor's way of saying she's going to die right there. And if by chance she did leave that hospital, she would never walk again. She would never talk again. She would have to live in a nursing home and basically be a vegetable the rest of her life. And I did not see God written anywhere on His name tag, and so I didn't believe any of that. I believed from the moment that I heard about that God would completely heal Chris. I still believe that, and she's doing remarkably well right now. She's walking with a little bit of assistance. She's got to have some assistance walking still, but she's walking with assistance. She's talking a little bit better every day, and God is healing Chris. And I think that relying and believing that God's promises are true is a really big part of that. I stand on God's promises, and that's why I know that He's going to heal her completely. She'll be out there fishing with me again, and probably just like she's done our whole life, catch more fish than me.
She's gonna whoop your ass.
She's always done it. But she was a great bass and gal fisherman. She won 25 boats or so and 7 Angler of the Year titles. I don't know, 3 or 4 classics, and she just had a remarkable bass and gal career. So the fact that she can beat me is no surprise to anybody, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, Jimmy, how much your faith has impacted me, and I'm sure many other people. Well, I remember vividly watching your videos, literally the day of or the day after she had the incident, and you didn't know what was going to happen. You had no idea, but you had incredible faith. And I just, I'd always heard you talk about your faith, but that day I saw your faith in action like I'd never seen before. And I was just amazed at how strong you were, how much faith you had that things were going to work out. And I appreciate that. It really impacted me, and I think it impacted a lot of people. And maybe that's one of the reasons she's had to go through that. You hope not, but in any case, you're a real inspiration to a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate that, and you really have to suffer through some things and allow God to operate to realize how big God really is, and to realize what God can really do, and understand that His plan is always going to be the best plan. I don't think that God had a hand in creating that brain aneurysm and that stroke. I think it might have been straight from the devil, but I think God has stepped in and saved her life to begin with, which was remarkable, because when you look at the brain scan, which is, we're basically a lot like what we're looking at when we're looking at a live scope fishing, and they tell you exactly what you're looking at, and you realize you're looking at half of a lady's brain that's been 70% destroyed, and you realize she's still alive and breathing, and in very critical condition and hanging on to life. But God stepped in there, and like I said, now her speech is not all the way back. Her walking is not all the way back, and her right arm hadn't come back at all. But I believe all that will. And I'm on God's timetable, and I'm good with His timetable, whatever that is. We knew from the beginning. Sherry's husband is a cardiologist, and he told us that first week. He said, "Jimmy, just realize this is not a sprint; it's a marathon. It's going to take a while." And but we're on God's timetable, and we're allowing Him to operate and work however He can. And we know that He's working it for our good and for good of a lot of other people. And our daily devotional channel has got about 18,000 people on it now, and we have another 15 or 20,000 that watch those videos every day on Facebook. So that illness has touched a lot of people in a very positive way, and I don't think in a second that God created that stroke, but I think He's taken that bad happening, and He's used it for His glory. I believe He's done that, and I think He'll continue to, and I think He'll use it even in bigger and better ways than we realize right now.
That's the catch of the day.
I live in expectation of God doing something great in my life.
That's the catch of the day channel, correct?
The Catch of the Day channel is our that's our YouTube channel. We have a Jimmy Houston Outdoors YouTube channel also, but the Catch of the Day channel, we do a devotional every single morning. We post it at 5:00 every morning, and it's from our Catch of the Day book that we wrote back in 2005. This last year and this year we wrote another daily devotional book, which we'll begin reading from and doing a video on beginning January 1. That's called Catch a Better Life. And it's a very similar, it's got a scripture, a fishing tip, and a devotional every day that's built around fishing. And I think it's the most important channel on YouTube. It's obviously not the largest, but because it does and is changing people's lives for the better.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can learn and do and see everything on YouTube, but there's very few things out there that will literally change your life and change. I mean, it's changed. I know of marriages that have been saved. I know of I just all kinds of situations. Alcoholics that have been cured, and that my daily devotional didn't cure them, but their relationship with God was cured, and then God took care of drug problems, alcoholic problems, broken marriages, and obviously all this COVID stuff that people have gone through, and it's drawn a lot of people closer to God, and God is using that channel to make people's lives better, which is what God does.
Yeah, that's great. I heard you got a new newsletter people can sign up for too now, right?
As a matter of fact, we just sent the first one out November 1. We got a newsletter we'll be sending out, and all they need to do is just go to jimmyhouston.com, and they can register their email address there, and we'll be sending one out every single month. We may, in fact, do another one, the same one, a little bit later this month in a couple of weeks. I don't know. It just depends on how many more emails we've got. We've got several thousand that went out, and that newsletter is going to be. And that's the first one we've done. It's going to. A lot of people really love it. It's going to get better, I promise. And we'll have a lot of nice things on there. One of the cool things we have on there is we'll have some discounts. So if people order merchandise from jimmyhouston.com, we'll have prize giveaways from some of our sponsors. And we'll have our appearance schedule on there. I speak at about 15 or 20 churches a year, plus do about another 70 or 80 appearances around at Bass Pro Shop stores and various shows and boat and tackle shows and just all kinds of places. We're running around. I'll be over at the $1 Million Tournament, the Bass Pro Shop Tournament on Table Rock. The middle of this month here in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, where some amateur fishing team is going to win $1 million in one day.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
I told Roland Martin, we were over at the Old Hickory tournament, their preliminary, and I said, Roland, just think about that, $1 million in one day. I said, think about how long it took you and I to win $1 million bass fishing. I mean, it basically almost took our whole life to do it. Somebody's going to do that in one day. One day. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
And the good thing is all of their entry fees in those tournaments go back into conservation. Plus Bass Pro and Toyota and I drive a Ram truck. I'm sponsored by Ram, but plus Bass Pro and Toyota is matching those entry fees up to another $1 million.
Yeah.
So not only is somebody going to win a lot of money over there, but we're helping fishing all around in all the states around. So that's just fantastic.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Well, Steve, we've got to ask the man himself the ultimate question that we ask every guest.
You ask everybody this. I don't ask anybody.
Yeah, I ask it on every deal. And that is, Jimmy, in bass fishing, when it comes to your fishing lures and things of that nature, does color matter?
Absolutely, color matters.
Woo!
Bass can see and distinguish colors out there about at least 80 or 90 feet in clear water. They can see and distinguish what color it is. We've trained them down at the University of Oklahoma that strike a certain color. We know that they can do that. Oh, by the way, I want to throw a little bill. You're talking about lures. We are getting ready to bring out the original Jimmy Houston Red Man spinnerbait that I started my tournament career with and sold to Sam Walton, with a little guy over there in Rogers, Arkansas. I sold Sam Walton Jimmy Houston Red Man spinnerbaits when he had 13 stores. 13 stores.
Wow.
Those turned into Walmart stores, and I got more than 13 of them now. But we will have that Red Man spinnerbait. It is a unique spinnerbait. There's no other spinnerbait like it anywhere in the country. And the fish have not seen it in years and years and years. Now, there's no fish living out there that has seen this bait because there's no 40-year-old bass swimming around. There's fishermen that's been fishing for 40 or 50 years that have used that bait. But it'll be a new deal to the fish, and I'm smoking them on it. We're hand pouring. We've been using it for the last 2, 3, or 4 months, testing and getting it right. But we'll have that Red Man spinnerbait on the market probably be the first of the year.
Nice.
Awesome.
I like to hear that.
Watch for it.
Yeah, we'll promote it and do whatever we have to do. We're good for that for sure.
I'll send you a couple.
Yeah,
I'll send you a couple.
So my question was going to be a little bit different. Since we went down that thing, you fished with tons and tons of amateur fishermen. What is the most common thing you think that us normal guys do wrong and that we should be doing different to catch more fish?
Well, you see a lot of things out there, but I think one of the things that everybody could catch more fish if they learn how to cast more accurately. We fish with a lot of people that don't fish very often, and they can't cast very accurately. And if you're going to bass fish, accuracy is a big, important part of the game. I would recommend everybody learns how to pitch because it's easier to pitch accurately than it is to cast accurately, and it's more easier to learn how to pitch than it is to learn how to flip. And I think the other thing that fishermen do that keeps them catching fish is they have a tendency to want to go back to where they caught them before and not really realize that where they caught them. And that might be a great spot to go. I'm not saying not to do that, but you caught them there for reasons. And, and unless it's the same time of the year, the same type of water, weather conditions, you're probably going to go back to some of those areas and not catch them. So I think that most fishermen do not look around enough, and probably most fishermen fish too slow. They probably don't cover enough water.
Yeah. Casting.
That's the one thing. I sound like a politician. 8 answers. Color matters. Color matters.
Color matters. I gotta say
color
that
matters.
Yeah, there's gonna be now a new meme for me that says colcolor matters.
I almost said they used the wrong color. I almost said that, and I thought, no, that would be silly.
You should have said it. Okay, Mr. Bass, go ahead.
Hey Jimmy, have you thrown any big swim baits or big glide baits? That's kind of taken over the fishing community by storm.
I have, and I've caught some fish on them, and it works really, really good. But again, you're not going to catch a lot of fish on that. And I'm a fisherman that I guess you can tell from talking about catching 83,000 fish out of that lake in 13 years. I'm a fisherman that likes to catch a lot of fish as well as catch big fish, and so I mostly use baits that'll give me a lot of numbers as well as. And that's one of the reasons I've been known as a spinnerbait fisherman so much. Of course, it's a fun bait to fish, but you catch good numbers and you'll still catch, 6, 7, 8, 9 pound fish. To be honest with you, though, in the last 3 or 4 years, I've caught far more big fish. I'm talking about 8 pounds and up on an Alabama rig than I have a big swim bait. Now, and with
Ah,
Alabama rigs, we're pretty much using the smaller swim baits. We're using, 2 3/4 inch, 3 1/4 inch
yeah,
swim
yeah.
baits, but we're using 5 of them. And we are catching the majority of those big fish. We catch them, throughout the year, but the majority of them we catch December, January, and February, and we're sight fishing them. We're seeing them on the video and video game fishing, and
Yeah.
we've learned a lot about those giant fish. That's just been remarkable and destroyed a lot of the myths that we've used for years. And I'm sure y'all talk to a lot of guys about the video game fishing and the things that we've learned and the way that we're catching these fish is just yeah, well, it's told us why we're not catching a lot of those 10, 11, 12 pound fish. Is we're not really fishing where they are a lot of the times that time of the year. And
Mm.
catching big giant fish 10 or 11 foot deep over 70, 80 foot of water is just something that nobody's done until now.
Uh-huh.
But for catching the really big fish, boy, it's hard to beat that Alabama rig when that water's cold. I mean, it just really is. And we'll sometimes go out and find 20 or 25 big fish in a day's time and might catch 4 or 5 of them, or we might catch 20 of them. But and we're catching some of the biggest fish we've ever caught in our life. My PB is 13-1, and I haven't beat that, but we've caught some up there pretty doggone close to it. And my buddy that I fish with a lot has caught his personal best, like 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years, doing that video game fishing.
Yeah.
And he's got it up to 12 something, so it's getting a little bit harder to beat now. But it wouldn't surprise
Wow.
me if he doesn't beat that. And our state record here in Oklahoma is 15 something, and we have been actively trying to beat that. We have not come close, but we caught some 11 and 12 pounders, which is still pretty big fish.
Yeah. Where's your favorite place to fish? I mean, other than the ranch, exclude the ranch. Where's your favorite place to go fishing?
Well, I like a lot of places. I love Sam Rayburn. I love Guntersville in Alabama. As far as the public lakes, I love the St. Lawrence River, all up and down it. We went up and fished on the Mohawk Indian Reservation this year, which is over on the east end of the St. Lawrence River, and it's incredible smallmouth fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Great Lakes. I mean, there's a lot of places that I really love. Here in Oklahoma, Lake Ten Killer is my favorite. But again, that's where we moved when I was 16 years old, and we still have businesses there. Our tractor dealership there, our Kawasaki dealership is there. We've got a big store there. All my family live there. They come down to the ranch to visit every time they can. But all my family still live there on Lake Ten Killer, and that's still one of the best bass fishing lakes in the United States. But I love water. Just point me to the water and turn me loose. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Ray Scott said years ago, he talked to when they did that Mystery Lake. We went fished the Bassmaster Classic for years. We didn't know where the Classic was. We had a tackle box with 10 pounds of lures in it, and we went to a Mystery Lake. So we never knew where it was. And finally, the Classic got so big they couldn't keep it a secret. But he said that you could take, and in those early days, we had 300 people fishing in a bass tournament, and that only the top 24 for the year would get to go to the Classic. So it was a real feat to qualify for the Classic. Now they've got 100 people fishing, half of them get to go, so it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's a big deal. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not that difficult to qualify. 40 or
Yeah.
50 out of 100 as opposed to 24 out of 300.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he often said, and he's really right, and it's certainly true of all the modern day fishermen, maybe even more so, is you can drop these guys on any body of water anywhere in the country and they're going to catch fish.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to catch
Yeah.
fish better than just about anybody. And that's true. You go back in the days of Roland Martin and Denny Brower and Guido Hibden and Bill Dance and Hank Parker and on and on and on. And you come right up to the level we have nowadays, the great fishermen we have now. I left out Ricky Clun when I was throwing around big names there, but these guys, you can drop them into water anywhere and they'll make that lake good. It's kind of like a bad defense in football makes every quarterback good,
Yeah.
and so those fishermen makes just about any body of water look good. And people are beginning to realize these cats really know what they're doing. And they do. The video games, the Garmin Live Scopes have changed that game even more because we can go out and catch a limit of fish and then go out and look for 5, 6 pounds and up to try to improve that stringer. And just finding one or two of those and catching them during the day puts you up in the high rent district when you weigh in that evening.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Great game to play.
Hey Jimmy, have you kept track? I know you said you don't watch tournaments a whole lot, but have you kept track of Jacob Wheeler this year? What he's done?
Oh, I have. It's not just been this year. Jacob's had several incredible years. Jacob's a great friend and a great fisherman, and I fished, carried a friend of his fishing that said that, in fact, Paul George, that plays NBA basketball, he played here in Oklahoma City for a while. And while he was in Oklahoma City, I carried him fishing. And Paul George's daddy said that he taught Jacob Wheeler how to fish. They lived on Geist Lake up there in Indiana. So I'm assuming that's right. I mean, Jacob's never told me any different. So, but yeah, he's an incredible fisherman with incredible talents and skills. And, I said for a long, long time that the best 3 fishermen that I've ever been in the boat with that seemed to have just a natural ability or talent to make the right decisions, even though they didn't know exactly why they were making decisions sometimes, and
Steve
catch
Chapman.
fish when other people was not. With Roland Martin, obviously the greatest tournament fisherman of all time so far. Larry Nixon, another, absolutely phenomenal. And then my wife, Chris, who dominated the women's fishing for so many years. And those 3 had some ability that you just couldn't quite put your finger on. And I fished in a boat with a lot of them, many, many, many days, all 3 of those people. And one of the things that happens with the tournaments now is we don't get to fish with those other tournament fishermen like we did, because you got marshals in the boat, you got co-anglers in the boat, and there's a lot of the great fishermen today I haven't fished with. There's several that I have. We did a show with Mike Iaconelli the other day, and incredible talent. And but it was it was Mike. He fished with Roland Martin one day and me the next, and he said it was like his bucket list of things in his entire life. And we were fishing, doing a television show, but it was nice for me and Roland to fish with Mike. We'd never fished with him, even though we fished against him for a lot of years, and a great fisherman. But Jacob obviously is one of those guys that's got that. And I compare him to like a talented singer. You can go to Nashville and go in any bar there, and there's great people singing and picking and grinning and playing. But only one out of I don't know how many really make it to be big stars. And I've got lots of friends of mine that are big stars in the music business, and all of them will tell stories about going years and years and years, and then finally making it. But those people that make it have some little something. Their voice is not better. They can't play any better. That they just have some little something that sets them out from all those other entertainers. People like Jacob Wheeler, like Roland Martin, like Larry Nixon, like my wife Chris, they have that some little something special that's just God given that causes them to be able to make the right decisions at the right time and get that extra bite, catch that extra fish. And I haven't fished with Jacob, but I'm convinced that he has it. Just watch what he's done over the years. But I've spent on many, many, many days with Roland, many days with Larry in BASS competitions. And I fished a lot of with Roland just fishing, and he does the same thing just fishing as he does in tournaments. He'll come off with some off the wall statement. You go over and try it, and you start catching fish, and you go, why did you recommend that? I don't know. It just sounded good. But it's just something that I don't know. God just puts into that little extra innate ability to look around and let's stop over there and fish that bank out in 12 foot of water and see what happens. And sure enough, you run into a big bunch of fish. And so, but Jacob's got it. He's one of those got it. Obviously, Kevin Van Dam, Ricky Klein. I mean, all of the really, really great ones have got that. But there's a handful of some of those names that I mentioned that even set themselves apart from all of those really great ones.
Yeah.
Jacob's doing it right now.
Jacob's on fire. We got to let you.
Hey, he's been that way for 3 or 4 years. And I tell you, Jacob's a good friend, and he's one of those guys that you run into, and I fished against him at FLW tournaments for a few years, and you run into him on the water. He tells you exactly what he's fishing. He'll tell you how he's catching them, and he'll ask you how you're catching them, and he'll be honest with you. And to me, when a person does that, that really shows that they're comfortable with their own abilities and skills. They don't mind sharing their information. And, that's one of the things that the really great fishermen have done throughout the years is we've taught lots of people how to fish.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have learned how to fish a jig by people like Roland Martin and Hank Parker? And how many people have learned how to fish a plastic worm from Bill Dance and on
Mhm.
and on and on? We've
Yeah.
shared that information, and the younger guys, are, for the most part, are not so willing to do that because they don't want to give anybody any chance that they might beat them. But Jacob's one that does not mind sharing right in the middle of a tournament what he's doing because he's done it with me, out in the lakes and run into him, and maybe you got a limit of fish, he's got a limit of fish, but you need not to. So, man, I catch me one more 4-pounder, and I'm gonna be up there in the top 10, get to play again tomorrow, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I caught a 5-pounder today, and here's what I caught it on. He'll show you exactly, and he's telling you the truth. He's not BSing you. So I got a lot of respect for Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah. There's been tons of people fishing with Gramps, Small Wall Charters, Sean, Matthew, John. There have been so many people saying hello and saying thank you for everything you've done, and we appreciate it. I have hopefully an easy question for you. What is your take on? Are we ever going to see Major League Fishing and bass merge, or do you think it's always going to be this people hating each other from each side?
I don't know. I don't have a clue. And the amazing thing is all the fishermen in both of those organizations are just dynamite fishermen, and for the most part, dynamite people. I mean, they're
Mm-hmm.
really, really good people. And Major League Fishing is a lot of fun. I've only fished one Major League Fishing event. It was a made-for-television event, and it was a blast. I really like it. It didn't ever really seem like we were fishing a tournament. We were in competition, and I fished with Hot to Foam was my partner, and we won a new tracker off roads, which was really cool. But it was it never to me never seemed like real tournament fishing, and I think the concept is cool. Obviously the bad part is you can't get crowds at the weigh-in, which is something that sponsors want. It's something that the people enjoy. People
Yeah.
enjoy going and seeing, talking to the fishermen, watching them get their fish out of the live well. During the preliminary rounds of the tournament, when you've got the entire field fishing, they see you coming in, and you pull up on the boat dock or pull up the park on the bank, and crowd gathers around, and they enjoy seeing you take the fish out. And it's just it's a totally different concept. And whereas in Major League Fishing, it was so strange to me that we take off at like an hour after daylight, and we run down the lake at 30 miles an hour for 20 minutes and pull up on a point. I jumped up and grabbed my rod and reel, and I said, no, Jimmy, don't cast, don't cast, don't cast. And I said, we were fishing a shad spawn. I mean, the shad were spawning and the fish hitting them, and I said, are you kidding? Are you crazy? Look at that. And he said, no, we got 2 minutes to wait. And so you sit there and wait 2 minutes, and it takes an awful lot out of tournament fishing. It is kind of nice to know what the other fishermen are doing, but then again, it's also kind of nice not to know, and always be trying to figure what you've got to catch and what you have to do in order to do well. And I guess I might be old fashioned, but I prefer fishing a 5-fish limit. You got to realize when I fished my first BASS tournament in 1968, second or third tournament BASS ever had, we had a 15 bass limit in all the southern states. And Alabama had a
Wow.
15 bass limit. And the first day I caught 11 bass that weighed 52 pounds and 8 ounces at an 8.10 and 8.14 and 9.3 on the same stringer. And now that's tournament fishing right
A
there.
5-pound average.
And we cut back, to 10 and then to 8 and then finally to 5. Actually, the Bassin Gals started on 5, and Bass was still on 7 or 8, I think, at the time. And they eventually moved back to 5. But I still believe that real tournament fishing is 5 bass limits, or whatever limit you want to put. If you have 2 people fishing, maybe you want 6 or 8 or 10 fish. I don't know, but anyway, catch your biggest ones, and it's and obviously Major League Fishing realized that what they were doing wasn't setting good with the public. They changed from 1 pound to 2 pound, and that changed the dynamics around totally. And yet they still, with FLW, they still fish a 5-fish limit tournament. So
I don't know. I kind of think maybe both are good, but I think real tournament fishing is a limit of fish in your biggest whatever,
And
whether that's
going
three
across the
fish or five
stage.
fish or seven. Pardon me.
And going across the stage.
Going across that stage and taking those fish out of that bag. I'm telling you, that's a. Edwin Evers is a great friend of mine here from Oklahoma, and I did a fishing show on a YouTube deal with Edwin the other day, and it just was so disappointing to me. I was tickled to death to see him win that big tournament, and but of course he won the Bassmaster Classic in his hometown, being there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and going into a Coliseum with 20,000 people there, and taking those fish out of the live well, just like but he wins I think they call it a red crest or something, but whatever their championship is, but he wins that, and his guy calls him time, and he turned around, laid his rod down, and the guy shooting camera said, "Well, congratulations, you just won the championship." And well, thank you, I appreciate it. And you go back in, he pulled up on the bank, and 4 or 5 people walked down there and said, "Well, congratulations, Edwin." And I don't know. I mean, it was a little bit like they played some of the baseball season last year without any fans in the stands.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's how those guys felt, is how some of those guys feel when they win those big tournaments. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's too many young fishermen out there fishing tournaments that hadn't dreamed about walking across a Bassmaster Classic stage with 5 bass that had a chance to win that tournament, or walking across any tournament stage and with 5 bass in there, knowing that if these fish weigh 15 pounds and 8 ounces, I'm champion.
Yeah.
I'm champion. Yeah. And I don't know. To me, it took a lot out of it. And the conservation part, I guess, is good. I don't like the way they handle the fish, grabbing them around the side and all that. It's a poor way to handle them, but they think that's okay, so I guess it's fine. But we introduced conservation into bass fishing years and years ago when Forrest Wood and Ray Scott came up with live wells and releasing fish back into the water and keeping them alive, and on and on and on. I would like to see them change to barbless hooks. Now that I fish tournaments, I fish totally with barbless hooks anymore, and we fished our lakes with barbless hooks ever since we've had them, for the last 15 or 20 years, and it makes a huge difference in keeping fish alive. It allows you to recycle a 2-pound fish and still be recycling when he weighs 8 or 9 pounds. And that's
So
pretty
Jimmy, speaking of handling a bass, there's probably people on here who don't know what is the proper way to handle a bass.
I think the proper way is put your thumb in their mouth. Obviously, you're going to get your fingers all scratched up that way because they have teeth. A lot of them, they're sharp. And if you catch very many fish, your hand's going to get cut up a lot. But I think when you grab them around the back, a lot of the FLW fishermen wear, MLF fishermen wear gloves, and they grab the fish in the middle of the air and they grab them around the back. It's removing a lot of the slime. The slime is on the bass for a specific reason. If you studied any biology in college, which I did, that slime is on there. It's a protective slime that's on those fish and protects them against parasite and stuff. When you remove that, that's bad. That's why in trout fishing, the trout fishermen are taught at a young age to wet their hands before they handle their fish. And a lot of them never take the fish out of the water. They keep the fish in the water and they unhook them and handle them. Most of the trout fishermen fish with barbless hooks. I hate to say trout fishermen are doing it better than us because a lot of trout fishermen smell funny. I'm telling you, a trout itself smells funny. But I'm just saying. Okay, all the trout fishermen are gonna say, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." But anyway, trout don't like bass fishermen. I'm telling you, we smell bad to a trout. They don't like us. Trout don't like us. But the best way is to put your thumb in their mouth and hold them straight up and down. And if you're going to hold them crossways, put your hand under their belly where you're not breaking that jaw or dislocating their jaw. Of course, when you put your hand under their belly, again, you're removing some slime. I think the best way is to hold them straight up and down. And if you're going to take a picture, stick your arm way out there and put that fish up close to your camera. Makes it look better. That's the way they're supposed to do it. The way Roland Martin taught me how. Roland Martin showed me how to do that when I was supposed to get. I'm just a little boy. Roland taught me that. Roland and Bill were two of my really idols when I was growing up. And young kid watching them on TV. They were really special. But that's, I believe, the proper way to handle a bass. And I don't allow, when we're fishing in our lake and people grab them like that, I tell them not to do that. I tell them, the best way to handle them, I don't get onto them, but I tell them the best way to handle them is to put your thumb in their mouth, hold them straight up and down. If you want to take a sideways picture, which is not a very good picture, a 5-pound bass looks like a 5-pound bass when you take that picture that way.
You want it
What
to
a
look like a
5-pound bass
10-pound
look
bass.
like a 7-pound bass.
Yeah.
So you hold it up and down. You hold it a little bit closer to the camera. People with really long arms like Bill Dance and Roland Martin and Hank Parker, those fish are not nearly as big as they look on TV. I'm telling you.
For sure.
But yeah, and barbless hooks. If you are going to just throw your fish back, you're so much better off fishing with barbless hooks. And besides that, if you have, and our hooks nowadays are super sharp that we have on all our lures are chemically sharpened and really, really sharp. You're a lot more apt to get a hook in your hand or your face or your leg or something nowadays than ever. If you smash those barb down, that hook will just come right back out. You don't have to use a fishing line or anything.
Yeah.
So barbless hook's a good way to go. I think, and I've always felt like at some point in time that tournaments would go to barbless hooks. They haven't yet. Trout fishermen have been doing that for years. I believe they will. And I also believe that at some point in time, we will have a period of time, maybe 45 days, that covers a couple months during the spawn where we don't allow any tournaments or, all tournaments, all fishing, not just tournaments, but all fishing will be catch and release. We wouldn't even have any tournaments during the spawn. I think that would be good. I think that'd help a lot of our lakes around the United States.
Yeah. Well, I have to just say, you've been in that parking lot way too long to start off with, so we appreciate it. And there's been
they told me I was going to have to order another meal or a milkshake or something here at Sonic. I'm taking up this parking spot here.
But
I didn't want to get out and drive because I didn't want to lose y'all.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. But there's been hundreds of people that have chatted and just send their love, and we appreciate everything. And I from Mr. Bass is just meeting you, but both of us love you, and we are so we're always sending our prayers to you and your family and Chris at all times. You know that.
I appreciate that, Steve. We appreciate those prayers, and I want to thank those folks out there that's watching y'all show here tonight. I know a lot of them have been praying for Chris. The prayers are working. God's listening, and God is performing miracles every single day with her. And it's not going to be long till she's back out there with me. I tried to get her to go down on the dock yesterday with one of my extendable cane poles that we have on our Jimmy Houston cane poles that they're actually fiberglass, but they extend out. And I told her, I said, your left hand's good. I said, a crappie around the dock. I said, all you're going to have to do is put that crappie bait out there and move it around, and you're going to catch them. But I couldn't talk her into going down there with me. And but I'll have her down there doing that even before that right arm gets to working. But I really, really, really appreciate everyone's prayers. And there's been literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of prayers. We're shaking and rattling those gates of heaven. People, and so many of them have never met us. They're just good Christian people praying for a miracle and praying for healing. And the miracles happened. I mean, it should have killed her. It didn't. She's come a long way. And
it only makes you stronger.
She's going to get better and better every single day. I believe it.
Oh,
so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks for all of y'all that's out there on our YouTube channel too.
Yeah. I'm going to take you up on this fishing thing, by the way. But I want Chris to get healthy too, so I can put the smackdown on Chris. That's the goal.
There you go. The weather's getting kind of nasty now, but springtime is just around the corner.
Yeah. Dude, thank you very much. Again, tell Sherry I said thank you, and I said God bless, and send her my love.
Will.
And thank you for everything. Everyone go to the channel, Jimmy Houston Outdoors. Go to Catch of the Day on the YouTube channel. Go on Facebook. Do all that stuff. And then in January, buy those red spinnerbaits. Everyone, buy those red.
There you go, red band spinnerbait. I appreciate you guys. Y'all doing a great job.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Later.
Bye bye.
Nice. That was great. Okay,
I don't know how we. I say this too many times. I don't know how we top this shit.
Yeah, I know it. We just do it. We just keep doing it, man. That was a great show. It was great. He was, Jimmy's a master, and he's a natural at this kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
it was very good, very good indeed.
It's funny to have someone like him on because he and I have known each other for a long time, and literally I text when Chris had that stroke. I think I texted him that night on April 5th, and it took him several days to get back to me. But then I made it a point of texting him like every 2 or 3 days just to say, hey, dude, I love you. I'm thinking about you. I'm sending you prayers. I sent him a video of Thomas doing a prayer for him. And it was just, it was one of those things you do. But when you get him on this, and then you realize how great he is, then you start, like, he's just so charismatic. It's just unbelievable. So, yeah. I mean, even and I've known the dude for a long time. I'm over here writing notes down of things that I didn't know about. And it's just super awesome.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, what did you think? Honestly, what did you think? I'd like to hear what you think. That's the truth.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I knew, I followed him for years, and I knew what to expect, and I knew he'd be, as long as we could get the technology thing down, it'd be fine. And the technology thing, it turned out to be really good, actually, the connection. Yeah. So it was great, and I think he's a real inspiration. And I like the fact that he's got
the Putin story.
The Putin story. You're right. Can you believe that?
Yeah. I was like, what? That cannot be true.
I know it. Man, that was
you want to know what? I'm gonna text him and ask him for the picture.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That is it to crazy. Yeah, so he was he was a joy, really, for sure. What more can you say?
So I did that radio show for years, and do you know who Lefty Kreh is?
No.
So Lefty Kreh is considered the godfather of fly fishing. He is and he may be resting in peace. He died a couple of years ago. Lefty Kreh, I thought I knew everything about Lefty Kreh. I'm not joking. I've met him. I've interviewed him. I sat and took a 15, 20-minute lesson with him on roll casting. It was absolutely, it was a dream come true for me. That's the God's honest truth. So we get him on an interview, and we're talking to him, and he says, I'm one of 3 people that survived. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember the disease. Oh my gosh.
Polio?
It was something ridiculous. He had an enzyme in his body that fought off this, and he said it, and I literally went, could this? And I was like, that can't be true. That can't be. But you hear these things, then you hear this thing about, I mean, who would even think Vladimir Putin's fishes? This is now our goal. We need to have Vladimir Putin on the show.
Yeah, we got to get Vladimir on and watch him kiss a bass.
Does anyone have Trump's email address? Because I'm sure him and Putin are right next to each other right now.
Yeah. Hey, Vladimir, kiss my bass.
I mean, it was just. I don't even know. It was just that was unbelievable. That was better than I expected, to be honest. Yeah. You want to know what? I'm not even looking forward to next week now.
we've got the one and only next week, so it'll be good too.
Yeah. I mean, you want to know? In all honesty, we need to reach out to Roland. I need to reach out to Roland Martin. Is what I need to do.
Yeah.
I have. I mean, I might be a little bit late, but I have him in my phone. So hold on.
Here you go, fishing the Southeast. Can y'all get The Rock on the show? He bass fishes. He does. He's got his own private bass pond, and he posts his fish. Yeah.
I've had Chris Pratt. I have his phone number on my phone.
Nice.
I'm gonna I'll text Roland tomorrow because it seems a little late, just to be safe.
Yeah. He's on your time.
Yeah.
So,
Frank's Fishing, Bill Dance. We're gonna have Bill on. It won't be a live show. We're gonna have to pre-record that one.
yeah.
It's just how Daddy can do right now. I mean, I texted him yesterday about it again. So, it's just how it is.
For sure.
So another great one. I mean, I didn't agree with. It was anthrax. That's what Lefty Kreh survived.
Oh,
and they
holy
named,
cow!
I know, and they named one of the things the L, whatever F Lefty, whatever his middle name, LK 30 or something, LK3 immunity from Lefty Kreh.
Wow!
And to hear that story, it's like another really good person that would be really great to get on, and I don't know if I can get him on. Is Gary Loomis. How Gary Loomis started G Loomis is absolutely ridiculous.
Really?
His story.
He's got his own rod company now. I can't remember the name. Do you remember the name of it?
I wouldn't buy any of the rods. I'm going to tell you that. I have a good buddy that's gotten in trouble from them, and it is. I'll look at I'm not good at Instagram. I should tell everybody that, but I'll look at it, Gramps, for sure. But how Gary Loomis started his rod building, and the first rod he built, and how he got his wife involved to make rods, and the whole story is Edge Rods is absolutely wonderful. I have another buddy that was married to Chris Everett, and massive fly fisherman, and he has some stories about going fishing with presidents and stuff like that. That I don't think a lot of people would know him, but it's fun to hear. I always think it's fun to hear everyone else's stories about fishing, where they've been, that kind of stuff. That's what I find interesting.
For sure.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
Cool. That's awesome. All right.
So now that we've had him, just out of curiosity, who would you really, really like me to work on?
Well, I really wanted KVD, and you've kind of checked that box. So,
yep.
Who next?
I kind of want to do Jacob Wheeler again, to be honest.
Yeah, I think those guys, this is the time of year, especially there's only a few more weeks left of deer season. And once that's over, that's kind of like the golden time to try to nail some of these guys down for sure.
Small water charters. Anytime I can go fish the headwaters, I'll drive down. I'm right in Apopka. I'll drive down. You tell me, I'll film it.
I'll tell you another guy who does a really good interview is Larry. What's the guy's name that owns Dobbins Rods? Dobbins. What's his first name? He's really interesting to listen to him talk about the industry and about rod building and about fishing tournaments. I mean, he's another guy that's really, really interesting.
I can get Gerald, I think. Wheeler I can get pretty much any time, I think. Greg Hackney, Andy Mill, that was who I was talking about. Andy Mill's one.
Gary Dobbins, yeah.
Andy and I, of all things, we did an interview on the radio, and then we would always text each other. I had questions about, like, Andy wrote one of the greatest books about tarpon fishing on the planet. And so I texted him. I said, "Hey, I'm going tarpon fishing. What leader should I use on my fly rod? Blah blah blah." And he's like, "Look, I'm going like buck hunting in Montana. Are you coming with me?" Was the reply. And I'm like looking at my phone, going, "What is he talking about?" I'm like, I don't even know. Are you inviting me? And he's like, "Yeah, come on. I got a private plane. I'm doing this." I'm like, I just can't drop everything to go do this stuff. I need a little bit more than like 24 hours. But Andy's one of the best guys. I mean, in his story about going fishing with one of the presidents and how they had to block off the whole waterway, and they had helicopters flying over, and then they didn't catch a fish for 3 days.
Yeah.
And they figured out the fishing trip cost $7 million.
Holy cow! That was
So
amazing.
yeah, it would be Andy Montgomery, great guy. Mark Rose, I could get Mark Rose too. I don't know about Clun or Nixon. I have Clun's phone number, but I'm not sure he would come on.
Yeah, I don't know if he would either.
Clun
Pretty private.
is a different person. He is really, I wouldn't say shy, but he isn't really outgoing about a lot of stuff. And George was Senior, yes. Booster.
Yeah, I've fished when I went to Alaska to fish this last time. That's the place where he fished.
Oh,
That was the river in the lodge that I stayed at was the one that George Bush fished at, where they had to shut everything down.
Well, no, this one was in the Costa Rica.
The same thing happened up there. They had to really shut everything down, and yeah, I mean that's just what they do. That's just what they do for a president, you know. They shut the whole world down.
Oh yeah. Seanzy asked Steve, "Have you heard if Ike is going back to the elites since he qualified?" I think he's going back to elites, but nobody is talking about it. Not him. His inner circle, I think, knows. He's had a couple people say on their videos, "Hey, I can't wait to see you next year on the elites." So I'm just thinking, maybe. I think it makes sense. I know he's not going back to Major League Fishing for sure. He's not doing that.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see. And maybe that's what we can wrap up with is our little the little conversation that what's his name had that I sent to you about his rant about the elites and the that was a pretty interesting little video. Was it?
We got that from Booster, didn't we?
I can't remember who sent that to me. If it was,
it had to be Booster. He knows everything.
One of the guys sent me a link to I think it was Andrew Upshaw's video.
Yes, I think it was Booster that sent it to us.
And he's kind of gone off on Major League Fishing, you know, and the fact that he feels like these tournament organizations are not doing what's best for the anglers. They're not giving them enough. They're not coordinating their schedules enough to make sure that the anglers can fish as many tournaments as they need.
And really, no offense to Andrew or anybody, these are two separate organizations that hate each other.
Yeah.
They want you to pick sides.
Yeah.
And decide who you want to see.
Yeah, it's kind of like asking Amazon and Walmart to work together.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
They're not. They want to cut each other's throats. So while I think it's not as bad as Andrew said, because in longer hunt stuff, in the people that I talk to, there's not as much. I can tell there's not as much hatred that goes on. Not as much, backstabbing and talking about people. They've kind of gone. You know what? We're both of us need to succeed for this for bass to work, for tournament fishing to work. But I mean, a lot of them are now looking at NPFL. I mean, we're going to see 4 really big people fishing NPFL next year, for sure. So, well, I guess it isn't for sure. We won't know until what the schedule is, but there's gonna be some big name guys that go to NPFL next year. And I will tell you from the horse's mouth that one of the people that's going back told me it was easy money. I'm not going to say who.
Really? He said fishing the NPFL will be easy money, huh?
And I'd like to say, I told this person, I said, you better hope you kill everybody.
Yeah.
If you come in second place in Angler of the Year, you have lost in this thing. And he promised me that he would be Angler of the Year. Promised.
Well, you and I have talked about this offline, and I think it is a smart strategy for some of these super elite guys. You know, if they've got the time, why not hop over there and make some more money and get a little more exposure? You always need more exposure.
Yeah.
And some of those elite guys, I think, could just kill it over there.
Yeah, I think a couple of them are, when the couple that are going to do well there. They're going to do well. They're going to do well everywhere. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. It was also interesting listening to Jimmy talk about the fact that he pretty much thinks the old 5 fish limit's the way to go.
So I told you this story, and I can say it now because it's been years. A couple of years ago, I went to the FLW thing here in Toho, and my goal was to only interview John Cox. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody else, but John and I had a really good rapport, and I had heard some rumors, and I was like, I need to get to John. Well, John got sick that day at the captain's meeting, or whatever you want to call it. So I ran into Todd and Castledine, or however you say his last name, Castledine, and I ran into a bunch of other people. But Jimmy was there, and I was like, hey, do you have like 15 minutes to talk? And he's like, of course. So we went into a corner and sat down at a round table, and we sat there, and I filmed an interview with Jimmy for 2.5 hours.
Oh, man.
And in this time, this is when Major League Fishing was just getting into the business. And we went, he had all sorts of, what he thought was right, what was wrong. And then while I was doing this interview, I was like, I can't use any of this. I don't want somebody to come back at Jimmy. Yeah. I don't want somebody, because at that point in time, everybody was, going crazy. Either you were for them or you were against them.
Right.
So I was like, I cannot use. And I told him afterwards, I go, I can't use any of this. And he's like, no, I don't mind you doing it. I said, I don't want to put you in that position where you have to question just because you and I sat down and did this. And then I came home, and I think I edited it down to like 15 minutes of stuff. And I actually still have all the interview too, of all things.
Awesome.
But, it was one of those things.
Okay, so you were telling me you've got a brand new Monster Bass box coming out, eh?
So Monster Bass got a hold of me like maybe a week and a half. Was it like a week and a half ago? Maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think it's about
and I'll be brutally honest. I you heard me. I was not happy. I didn't want to do this. Mm-hmm. I've been talking to Vic at Florida Tackle Club of doing a Get Your Fish On box.
Yeah.
That it was literally all the baits that I think are the best on the planet. I'll be honest, it'll have a jackhammer in the box. And no other box can do that except Florida Tackle Club. So we've talked about it for months since iCast. And so Monster Bass got a hold of me and said,
bunch of lunker hunt lures.
Yeah. I can tell you there's no lunker hunt in my box. Never. But they said, go on our website and no worms either. Go on our website and look for 8 lures or plastic baits or whatever that you are confident in and that you would put in your own box. And I went through their Monster Bass stuff, and I'll be honest, I only found I found 12 things that I thought were decent. No offense to anybody else, but I was like, this is what I think is good. And I'll be completely honest. I think what I put together is the best box they'll ever have.
Well,
I don't think I can get in trouble for sharing what's in it. Can I?
Why not? Heck, well, hey, roll the dice, man. Let's see what's in the box. What's in the box? What's in the box?
In all honesty, do you think I get in trouble if I say it?
I don't know. It's exposure. It's exposure for Monster Bass. It shouldn't hurt, should it?
Oh, and let me just say,
one hook drop shot sample pack. That's what Steve's going to have, a bunch of sample packs in his box.
Sample packs.
Sample packs and overstocks and discontinued stuff.
Now here's the thing. They had a bunch of people that I don't know how many people they involved in this, to be honest, but they said every person who does it gets paid. So one of the things I made a very big, I'm going to be completely upfront about it. I told them not to give me 1 penny. Any money that comes out of this goes directly to a kids fishing event. I don't want anything. Well, they did send me 8 lures.
Oh, great.
I have to do a video, but
what we need
none
to
of it,
do.
all of it goes directly to kids fishing events.
Great. What Jan's got the right deal. When the box comes out, I'll buy it and I'll unbox. Get your fish on's Monster Bass box.
So why don't I just ask them to send one to you?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I can tell you right now, there's no buffs. And
no
really,
buffs?
Yeah, they were,
packs? Nothing great.
They kind of hinted that I needed to use some of the Monster Bass stuff. I went, no, I don't want anything to do with that.
Oh.
Either you put this stuff in here or I'm out.
Okay.
And I will be honest, I had asked for that Alabama Slammer, like it's a little twitch bait, 105, and they didn't have enough in stock. So they put something else in that I said it. But really what it came down to was I just wanted I know this is going to help them sell a lot of stuff. No shaving cream either. But I wanted it to be and no man wipes. Actually, if they had man wipes, John, I would have put them in there. Yeah,
Barbasol.
I wanted it to do. I wanted it to be to go back to the kids. So that's the only reason I did this. Because when Vic and I do if Vic can get my box together on what I want, that will be the single greatest box of all time. And there's a good chance that'll happen. I'm not supposed to be sharing that, but you know, it is what it is. But I can say there's no like terrible baits in that thing at all. And
I gotta admit, I agree with Gramps. The dude wipe is pretty awesome.
I had a Dude Wipe sponsor 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Gerald Swindle got his Dude Wipe sponsor because of me.
Yeah. Right on.
So anyway, it goes back to kids fishing, and that's all. That's what it came down to.
Yeah. See what C Big Hill says? Who needs a box with all black and blue baits? He knows that's all you're going to put in there. 8 black and blue chatterbaits. That's what he's going to put in there.
Thunder Cricket. I will spoil one. There is a Thunder Cricket in it.
Hey, Thunder Cricket's a great bait.
I agree.
It's a good bait for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know when it's coming. Hold on. Let me open my email real fast. I was trying not to open everything because then I know what happens. My computer slows down. Oh, no. I got it on a text. Hold on. Oh, I deleted the text. Who would that be from? Monster Bass. So I'm supposed to. Mine is on the way, and it's supposed to take 2 or 3 days.
Awesome.
You want to know what? And you can just tell me this. There is a retail value of over $60 in this box.
That is awesome. Well, 8 lures in a single box, that's a lot of lures. That's great.
There's only one plastic.
Only one soft plastic? Dude, you're crushing it.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't ask for the... I see a mistake already.
Uh-oh.
How did that get there? Oh, that's a shit bomb. I'm going to have to email somebody.
Uh-oh.
But I think it's, like I said, I think it's going to be, it's going back to kids, so that's all I cared about.
That's cool. That's awesome.
I think it's a good way for Monster Bass to it's going to be a limited edition, by the way. Okay. So there aren't going to be a ton of them because I don't know how much stock they have of those lures. So there's no lunker hunt for sure. There's no long. And what I really wanted to do was I wanted it so that at first I thought, well, I'll do the box, and then whatever money they're supposed to give me per box, I would ask for a discount code or a free lure to be put in instead of getting the money for whoever bought them.
Oh.
My way of trying to give back as much as possible. But then I was like, well, I talked to you about it. I was like, should I do the kids thing? And and that kind of made a little bit
kids idea. I like
idea. I mean,
sure.
I think it's going to be. I think it's a pretty good box. That's the truth. I mean, is it great?
I'm sure it is.
No, but it's pretty darn good.
I'm
Okay,
excited. I'm excited. I want to see it.
Yeah. I haven't shared with you the list.
No, you
Do you want it? I'll text it to you.
You have been like, nope, it's a
Yeah.
secret. I'm not letting it out.
Yeah. Okay, let me just say, Bulldog. There isn't really anything technically wrong with Lunker Hunt. I just don't think they make a very good product. I've had a lot of issues with things falling off or something being weedless and it's not really weedless. And
it's really more just kind of a joke on the channel for fun.
Yeah.
That's all, really.
I don't buy Lunker Hunt stuff. Having said that, I do have a Lunker Hunt lure somewhere over here. Oh, yeah, I have this one. I have the lizard that I'll give to anyone who wants it. Anyone can have that thing.
Frog fur.
Yeah. I did this. They say this bait is weedless, but the arms get grass in them. The hooks are too exposed, and the back hook that's in the butthole, that thing doesn't work at all. So,
frog fur.
This one doesn't. That one doesn't do it for me.
Right on. JJH2613 says, I want to try that lizard.
Does he?
Yeah.
Tell him to text or email me or whatever it is.
JJH2613, send an email to.
Yeah.
I'll even put your email up here for him.
Right there. You go. Try boiling it, Steve. So, fish in the Southeast, the spider isn't great. The spider loses its arms every time you catch one bass. I've never had one of those spiders. They look sick, and they do. Wait a minute. They do catch fish. They catch fish.
They look super real.
Yes, but that spider, that the legs fall off every time. I don't even know how many. They sent me so many of those things. Not one of them made it through one fish.
There it is right here.
Yeah, and those legs just come off too easy. That's the problem with that bait.
It looks awesome. It looks so good. The packaging's great, too. They even put a web on the packaging, man. They did a great job with this bad boy. And, I don't really care. If it really catches fish and it gets destroyed after one or two fish, I'd still throw it.
But I'm talking about after one fish, like one 1 pound fish, the legs come off.
Maybe it's just those Florida strain fish that are just vicious.
I had a bluegill eat it and it killed it.
Hey, those Florida strain bluegill, they're brutal.
I got a bluegill the other day. I'm not joking. I have no idea what this bluegill was thinking. It ate a Cinco worm, and it was probably 2.25 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, it ate a worm.
That's crazy.
And I was like, what is happening here? It like went sideways, and I'm like, damn it, I got another turtle. And then it just fought, and then when it got close, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a bluegill. And then I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. So all
right, so we're about out of time here. What do you got going on in your channel this week coming up?
Hold on. I got to go to my other page here. I've been doing a lot of videos for Patrick Sebile, so there'll be some Patrick Sebile lures coming up. But I think the next one for me is actually the Little Hustler Escort Spinnerbait.
The Little Hustler. Wow. Interesting.
And then some other ones, but I think that's the next closer look. And
I like that video you did with Patrick. You had Patrick Sebile explaining his what do you call that bait? It was good. There was a few people that said put a translator on there, but I could understand pretty much everything he said.
So by the way, if the rubber boots thing is killing me, man.
Yeah,
I'm never wearing rubber boots the rest of my life.
Those rubber boots were sexy. You got to make sure you're wearing shorts.
Jan, you have my email. If you want some Twitch shads,
Hyperelastics.
text me. I got
Hyperelastics.
enough of those over there to kill somebody. So we thought it. So this video won't go out. I can just say it now. We did a Black Friday video here, and I told Patrick it would be really funny for you to do the whole thing in French, and then I'll overdub it with English translation. With my voice going, what the hell is he thinking? But it would be so funny to do it like that. So we recorded the video, and then I said, just out of curiosity, what did you say? And then he told me what he said, and I went, if someone speaks French, they're going to be pissed off at us. You can't say that on a video. So he was like, well, just dub it out earlier. I'm like, no, well, we need you to speak French. And then me like go with the recording thing and go, I have no idea. I can tell you exactly what it was going to say. I was going to say, here's I was going to say, hey, you, guess what? Since I don't know French and I'm spending time to translate, let me tell you what you need to know. Thanks, Patrick Seville of Van Anglers. That's Patrick Seville of Van Anglers. During the holiday season, we want to offer you 30% off in-stock lures. Yes, 30% off statewide, site-wide lures. You can't tell you the code yet. Use the code at checkout and save some money. But during this time, what in the hell is he talking about? And then a whole bunch of stuff flashing around and all this other stuff.
That would be hilarious.
And then,
if you did like the old Godzilla movies,
yeah, hey,
where
yeah, like me,
yeah, that would be freaking hilarious.
That was the theory that I was going with. But then he told me, he's like, oh, I was telling people that they sucked and something like this. I'm like, no, we can't do this.
Yeah, you're going to have someone that knows what you're saying.
Yes, and that won't be good.
No,
so
sure.
I
bow to your sensei.
Yeah, I deleted, well, I still have the video, but his thing, but I'm not going to do that part. We have a regular one, so it'll work out.
Cool.
What's going on over you? I think I saw an email that we're supposed to get the Bass Baits Monthly this week.
Yeah, I haven't got an email on that yet. My Hendrix box is coming this week, though, so I'm going to do a live on it as soon as it shows up. I'm not my Sunday night show that I changed to Saturday nights is going to be on Friday night this week. That's because my wife and I are going out of town, so I won't be around Saturday night or Sunday night. So Friday night is the Mr. Bass live show, 7 p.m. And so be sure to join me if you choose.
I'll be there for sure. I think I feel like I disrupted if I tell people I'm on there, though.
Nah, it's great. I mean,
are you sure?
We like disruption, man. It's all good.
I feel bad sometimes. I'm like, I want to listen to what you're doing. Like, you know what I do. I put you on over here.
Yeah.
And then I start editing over here.
Right,
so it works out. It works for me. But then people start asking me questions or talking. I'm like, oh, I got to text. I got to do this. So sometimes, like the other day I watched and I didn't even text that I think I texted you saying I'm on, but I didn't put comment on here that I was on.
I think they like commenting with you, so I don't have any problem. I don't have any problem with you doing that.
If I disrupt you, just go, Steve, shut the hell up.
Yeah, I can just block you.
Oh my God! Wouldn't that be the funniest thing? I'm blocking Chapman.
Yeah, I gotta block Steve, man. He's out of control.
That would be hilarious.
That would be fun.
So
Jan is right. Jan is right. They're talking about my least favorite box. It's got to be Warriors. But I'll tell you, Lucky's right in there with it, man. Lucky sucky. Just, I don't know, man. They just
that last Lucky tackle box. That was a rough one to watch.
Brutal. Yeah. So in any case, that's kind of the way it goes. But that was a great show tonight, man. Really had a good time.
We got KVD next week. We can start promoting it now. KVD is going to be on. He told us 2 weeks ago he would be here. I guess we should put a little thing in for Roland Martin. I guess everyone wants to see Roland on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boots. So we'll I'll text him later night and or tomorrow and see what he says. And we'll
Right
do what
on.
we do. It's fun.
All right. Sounds like an exciting week to come. Mr. Bass Show Friday night, KVD Wednesday night, a week from tonight. Should be great. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It was a lot of fun. Hope you guys have a great week. And Steve, close us out, man.
Take a kid fishing. Get your fish on. We'll see you guys soon.
See ya. Bye-bye.